Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, and this is pretty weird. Geeky sent this over to me. It looks like NVIDIA is going to be bringing back old graphics cards because the cost of new graphics cards, it's going through the roof, just like RAM, because of AI. That's the official story anyway, but this is pretty interesting. They're talking about bringing back the GeForce RTX 3060 in the first quarter of 2026. Now, this is a 5 or 6 year old graphics card, GPU. And in fact, I think I had one of these in my old rig. I've since upgraded. But yeah, will we see more of this? I'm not just talking graphics cards. I'm not just talking RAM. But will we see old tech make a comeback because it's cheaper to produce, right? And also there's a demand for it. Not necessarily the graphics cards, but other things. I did a short the other day talking about Nintendo and 3DS prices on the secondary market. They're going through the roof. People want the old tech. And really, you get to a place where it's good enough. It doesn't always have to be bigger, badder, better. For consumer grade, it's good enough. It plays games decently. And in some ways, I think it forces developers to be more conscientious about their decisions and make sure they're making a game that a lot of people can play on their systems, where the baseline, the mid range is. And we've seen a lot of that in the last couple of years. We've seen it with Pal World and Helldivers and some other games that they really haven't been like super graphics intensive, but they've had widespread adoption. And maybe we've just hit a ceiling. I don't know. We're going to take a look at this, though. It's pretty interesting stuff. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, if you want more Clownfish TV, go out to more.clownfishtv.com. And I guess this came from Hongjing 2020, who apparently has some inside knowledge on it. We'll talk about the RAM prices, too. But WCCF Tech picked it up. NVIDIA could bring back the GeForce RTX 3060 in Q1 2026 to tackle current gen GPU and memory shortages. Now, they discontinued it in 2024. The original lineup, which was introduced in 2021, is still the most popular gaming graphics card on Steam. While the 4060 and 5060 are picking up the pace, it looks like NVIDIA might just once again open up the production lines for this GPU. So the new report comes from Hongjing 2020, who has a solid track record with NVIDIA GPU updates and production plans. The user states that, as per the latest update on the 5th of January, NVIDIA has updated its partners that the RTX 3060 is coming back. There's no detail on whether both the 12 gig or 8 gig models or one of those will be produced, but the 3060 is going to be made available on retail shelves once again. This indicates the extent to which the DRAM shortages have affected consumer GPUs. The GeForce RTX 5060 makes use of GDDR7 memory, and as DRAM costs rise, the RTX 5060 might not only be affected in terms of pricing, but also supply, since procuring memory is also an issue due to poor supply. Yeah, we're going to talk about just how crazy expensive memory is. The 60 series product family is made for mass consumption, so NVIDIA will have to offer some alternatives to its partners. The 3060 came in both 12 gig and 8 gig. The 12 gig variant was decent, but the company faced backlash with the 128-bit gig model. I had a 12 in the old rig. If NVIDIA were to reintroduce the 3060, they should be doing so at an attractive price point below the $200 mark, since only then would it make sense to gamers. That's crazy, though. I mean, really, it'd be good for gamers, though, if you're looking for mid-range gaming to be able to pick up a pretty decent GPU for under $200. That's all right. Now, here's what's going on. And if you guys have been sleeping on this, you might want to pay attention. If you're thinking about building a gaming PC in 2026, you're going to want to pay attention. Highest possible recommendation right now is go buy a pre-built system if you can get one at a good price, because I don't think you're going to be able to build a decent rig anytime soon. But I think that we're also going to see the games, dial back a bit, to account for that. It's come from Men's Journal. RAM prices will surge even higher in 2026 as AI demand triggers a memory pandemic for gamers. A memory pandemic. RAM prices are climbing fast in 2026 as AI demand reshapes the market. creating major upgrade and affordability issues for PC gamers. Wow. So over the last few decades, creating video games has been extremely lucrative for the most successful companies. That is the case because it seems like an ever-increasing percentage of the population are playing games. Okay, fine. Angry woman playing games. Unfortunately, it appears gamers are poised to have a major frustration throughout 2026 for a reason that's completely out of their control. The reason for that is that it's been reported prices are ballooning and will get worse for a key piece of gaming hardware that is always in high demand. This is very awkwardly written. I'm pausing because I'm trying to read these sentences and I'm like, it's not how a human would talk. I'm just saying. RAM prices are going to climb in 2026, leaving PC gamers caught in an AI-driven memory pandemic. They said over the last several months, it has felt like artificial intelligence has been affecting virtually every aspect of society. Between AI companies holding up the stock market, the power demands that the technology requires, the job losses, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. On January 2nd, Rock Paper Shotgun published an article predicting what the most important video game news stories coming out in 2026 will be. Unfortunately for gamers, one of the topics that article focused on was the fact that RAM prices will rise throughout 2026. So the most obvious group of people those price hikes will affect are PC gamers who will see prices surge, which will make any attempt to upgrade their computers more expensive. And I'm not trying to gloat, but I'm going to gloat a little bit. We just shut down our gaming center, our esports center, after 5 years. So I'm sitting on stacks of RAM and no, you can't have any. No, I'm just saying, like, I don't have to worry about it for a while. So that's good. However, console players can also be poised to feel pain as RAM plays a vital role in the production of consoles, which could cause the prices of video game systems to rise. Yeah, this is why, at least the word on the street is, this is why the Steam machine has not been announced. We don't have a hard date for that yet because they don't know what it's going to cost. Rock Paper Shotgun's article laid the blame for the surging RAM prices at the feet of AI. Well, let's go out and see the original article then. Maybe it's better written than this one. They said, yeah, it's a bad idea to predict a year's worth of video game happenings while you're delirious with a cold. They're talking about unions, okay, Saudi Arabia, and the purchase of EA, okay, a healthier conversation about adult games, the payment processor crackdown, basically all the stuff that we cover, but channels like ours get called alt-right for covering this stuff. It's so weird. Xbox is going to circle the drain. We're going to talk about that. Get another video coming up. The end of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. What does that have to do with video games? What does it have to do with video games? Ramnarok. They're calling it Ramnarok. That's actually pretty cool. The generative AI craze is doing terrible things to the availability of RAM. They said with price hikes and the closure of one major consumer brand in order to sell more chips to larger strategic customers in faster growing segments, that would be AI. Expected to continue, saith a Kingston rep, with prices remaining high well into 2026. And other hardware costs, including the price of the new Steam machine and Steam Deck 2, expected to go up by association unless the bursting of the generative AI bubble. That is coming, but AI will settle into being a tool and not the solution for everything, but it's not going to disappear completely. Some people would like it to disappear completely. That's not realistic. Now, what I think is going to happen is we are going to have a resurgence in old tech that's good enough. I really would like to see CRTs come back, but I don't think that's going to happen. I was looking into that. There's only one company in the US that still makes CRT monitors, and they make it for medical and government purposes. They're not making them for consumers. You can't buy one to play your arcade games on because they're like thousands of dollars. But I would like to see that technology come back. But yeah, a lot of Gen Z especially, they want older tech, and that coupled with the price of RAM, we might see a resurgence in old consoles. We might see a resurgence in just being like, hey, this is good enough, right? We don't need the latest, greatest, whatever. It doesn't make it any more fun necessarily. In fact, a lot of the games, the better the graphics are, the less fun the game actually is because they're more focused on the graphics than they are the gameplay experience. And games that were made 30, 40 years ago still hold up today, right? So maybe we're going to hit kind of peak tech for gaming. I don't know. That'd be really interesting. But yeah, grab a 3DS if you can, because they're hella expensive right now. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.